Each center of authority, be they the Oriental Orthodox or the Nestorian churches, the Roman Catholic or the Eastern Orthodox, in terms of how they are divided, the Old Catholic or the Anglican Protestants or the Pentecostals or the Charismatic movement, each of which would have their own further subdivision. Each center of authority within this culture can be further subdivided. So what we're having is a situation of extreme diversity. Do not take for granted the extent to which diversity has a negative impact on economy. In fact, there is one research that was recently undertaken, and I'll come back to it a little later, that in fact suggests that diversity, in fact, will impact negatively on economic success. The amazing diversity in the Christian tradition is not unlike what we find also in the Islamic tradition. And this, of course, this diversity must sensitize us to how we speak about Islam. Because, for example, as is the situation in, say, Iraq today, we hear allusions being made to Sunni Islam, and we hear reference being made to Shia Islam, as if to say, because they're Sunni, they would be a homogeneous bloc. But appreciating the diversity within each of these is something that is important. Again, this diversity within Islam is what sensitized me in an earlier publication that was called A Formula for Conversation, Christians and Muslims in Dialogue. And in this publication, it was my own effort, so to speak, to find the language to help to guide the relationship between Christian and Islamic cultures. It is an ongoing challenge to be able to find a way in which the different religious traditions relate to one another. This trip that I would have given through the religious cultures, be they Christian or Islamic, is to make the point that modern society can be realistically construed as existing in two major cultural blocks. One is highly diverse, and this I call the religious bloc. The other is somewhat more homogeneous, and I call that the non-religious bloc. This irretrievable diversity in modern society makes for what I call uncertainties. It also makes for violence, and it makes for human deprivation. So if you like, the religious irrationality, as some would regard it, and I wouldn't seriously argue with them, or the economic rationality, as some would call it, and again, I wouldn't have much quarrel with them. But whether religious or economic, whether irrational or rational, what we see is that there is a darker side to these two theoretical blocks, because we see in relation to religion, we see the allusion to violence, but certainly in relation to economics, we see the reality of poverty in the world. So neither the theories of religious irrationality nor the theories of economic rationality have been able to solve the problem of human deprivation and equality. And speaking about human deprivation, look at the situation with what we call the global wealth pyramid. The extent of inequality and deprivation can be illustrated here. I mean, you can look at it and take any pick you would like. But what I want to emphasize is the fact that 69% of the world's population lives on less than €140 per week, which is in fact less than the Irish government pays for social welfare to people who are unemployed.